We're going to get started here with our first speaker. This is Guillaume and Montassier. And he's from OpenIP. He's going to be talking about OpenSIP's platform of a telecom carrier. Hello.
Hi everyone, good morning.
Hello.
I'm Guillaume Montassier, I'm an R&D engineer at OpenIP, and I'm here to present to you our new telecom platform, which is mainly OpenSIP based, of course. I will just start with a small history in order to get you the context and why we decided to create a new telecom platform. So since 2005, OpenIP is a telephony service provider. We are specialized, of course, on the IP, but also on the SIP ranking. We are actually the leader in France. And our first platform, when we started in 2005, was what we can call silo architecture based. So how it was working was very simple. We just have two OpenSIPs as a SBC, one for the incoming packet and the other for the outgoing. And actually, just under all these two OpenSIPs SBC, we have a lot of Asterix server, which were here to handle all the platform services, the media. Well, actually everything was handled by a lot of Asterix server. So the way it was working, so there is a diagram. So as you can see, it's quite simple. We just have some clients which are connected to the Asterix server and the two OpenShips as SBC. And the thing is, with this kind of architecture, it's very good when you start because it's really easy. You just you have some client, you just put it on the Asterix. When the Asterix is full, you just create another one, and so on. And when there is a client with a specific configuration, something very strange, which is not compatible with your configuration of Asterix, you just create for him a special Asterix. So you keep going on, and it's really working well at first. The thing is, with this kind of architecture, when you start to scale up, rescale up, and getting bigger and bigger, it's not really working very well. Because you start to have some different behavior between servers. You start to have difficulties in terms of management and support because you have very lot of huge quantity of server, and you start to have transaction. Well, it's not really. Well, it's not the architecture which is good to scale and making bigger. So 3 years ago, and we decided to create a new platform. And as we have a very first good experience on OpenSIPs, because the two SBC were very reliable and was working very well, we decided to build the new platform based on OpenSIP software. Replicate all the services we had on the first platform, of course, and be able to migrate all our clients to the new platform. The second assignment was, of course, to be able to scale up because it was the big issue of the first architecture. And we want, as we're growing up, we want the platform to grow up with us. And currently, we don't have finished to migrate all clients, so actually we are on 5,000 SIP rank and around 4,000 SIP rank and around 5,000 simultaneous calls. So, just to start. We also want to, as we create this platform, we want to bring some innovacy in terms of security, in the security field, because as an operator, we are quite well protected, and we know all the security issue, and we try to be well protected. But the thing is, our clients are not really well protected, and there is a lot of clients which have not up-to-date version of PBX and so on, so we want to be able to protect them. We also want to be able to have a high level of flexibility because we only have 10 carriers, so it's really easy to connect to 10 carriers, but we have a huge quantity of different PBX and different constructors, and we want to be able to interconnect with, of course, a lot of clients, so we have to bring some not innovative, but be able to have a lot of flexibility. And the last one, we want to have something which on which we can really work on, because on the first platform, when we want to support and we have a lot of asterisk server, and it's really hard to debug and maintain and try to patch. It's really becoming very, very hard. So here we want to create something which allows us to have something we are very sure and we can really rely on the support and the maintenance. So the development landscape of this platform, so it takes around 2 years to develop it. And as we develop it and try to work on it, we rapidly determine that if we want to have something which fits our needs, we have to divide it, not create one big server, but divide it into some specialized OpenShift server. The main reason are the maintainability. Well, it's easy to understand. Simple. It's just because if you have a big code and a big server and you want to develop it, it's very hard. You have a huge code, you have a lot of dependencies, very complicated, you don't know. It's really hard to go deeply into the code and find the bug or the issue. So here, if you have simple code, a simple server which can really define goals, it's really easier to maintain and to debug. The other thing is the scalability. Generally, if you want to scale up, you have two big options. You can upgrade the server, or you can multiply the server. So here we have the third option. If we have a server which is taking too much resources, we can, for example, just divide it and create two specialized OpenShift servers from a server. And we have modularity, because if we have big needs that arrive and we want to integrate it in the platform, we can just create another OpenShift server, a specialized OpenShift server for this need. So we decided to go on this way, and we organized all the feature and everything we wanted on this for this platform into 7 servers, 7 OpenShift servers, and we start to develop it. And for the platform, we use the Oracle SBC, not OpenShift SBC, and the main reason is only commercial. We are in France, and the big operator in France is Orange, and he's using Oracle SBC, and if you want to interconnect and have a commercial advantage, you have to use Oracle. So we have Oracle SBC. So just a quick view on the project settings. So we use OpenShift 2.2. It was the last version, the last up-to-date version when we start to develop it. We have the Oracle SBC for the access and querying. FreeRadius for the accounting, because it's the solution which is because the CDR are generated by the SBC, and FreeRadius is the solution for Oracle. Radius is the solution for Oracle. FreeRadius. We have HR proxy and MariaDB for the database. Actually, we are trying to work to get all the information of the database into OpenShift cache, but it's not yet finished, so we are working and we are using MariaDB and the Camera cluster. We have a Nomad web interface. I will talk about it later, but we have to create some kind of big web interface to interconnect with the platform. And we have some, for the security, we have the fraud detection tools, which is a native OpenShift module, but we also have some homemade tools. I will also talk about it later. So here are the 7 servers. As I say, we divided the platform in 7 pieces. So the first one is the registrar server. So it's here to authenticate our client, of course, all the information of authentication and registration. We have the services server, which is here to add all the services the client has subscribed on. We have a lot of services that we can offer, so it's just regroup everything. So authentication server, which is used to detect the prefix client can call. So it's not really security, it's more you can call this country and not this one, for example. A numeration server, which is kind of our database of all the number we have, and the association with the client, which is using the number. The LCR server, which is here to find the least cost routing route, and the best carriers. A fraud server, which is the security server. So as I said, combine the native fraud module of OpenSIPS, a prepaid system, and our tools which analyze the behavior of our clients. And the specific server, which is the kind of the flexibility server. It's here when we have a client, which have really a strange configuration, something which we can't just plug it on the platform. So we have this server which allows us to make some strange things and allow some very particular client to interconnect with us. Yeah, there is all the other services that we can provide, like IVR or fax to mail, other high-level services. And in the middle, our platform and all the 7 servers, which are of course linked to the database and the web interface. And of course, this platform is double. We have the same on another data center. Everything is replicated. And we are using ChloroSync and Pacemaker to balance the OpenSIP server, because we are on OpenSIP 2.2, so we don't have a lot of solutions. So here is the call flow of an outgoing call. So if a client is calling a number which is not one of our numbers, but just an outgoing number, a number of another carrier, so the call is going through the Oracle SBC and to the registrar, in which we will just check all the authentication information, check if it's okay and everything. And if it's okay, we go to the services server to add all the services the client has subscribed on. To the authorization server to see if you can call this number, if it's authorized, and it's okay, we just go to the numeration server. So here's kind of special. Numeration server is only here to check if it's actually one of our number, because in this case we don't have to go through a carrier, it just goes directly to the client. Then to the East Coast routing to find the best carrier. To the fraud server to check all the security parameters. Then to the specific, is there any specific or strange configuration to add? Then you go through the Oracle SBC and to the carriers. So the opposite, the incoming call. So it goes from a carrier to one of our clients. So it goes through the Oracle SBC to the numeration server to check if is this really one of our numbers. And if yes, we go to the services to add all the services this client is using. Registrar server to get IP for all the information of the client. To the fraud server because we have some security on incoming call too. Then to the specific if there is any, and to the client. So here is a messy diagram. So the idea here is an incoming call which have a forward, because in the services we provide you have some forward. So it's an incoming call which is forward to an outgoing number. And the thing is, in this diagram it's kind of messy and very strange, but actually it's quite simple, because the green arrow represents the incoming call. So you are in the incoming call process of the platform. So it just goes through the DC to the numeration server. And on the numeration server, we see that there is a forward. So we go on the orange part, which is the forward process. So the platform is just make all this forward process and check everything. And then we go to the purple arrow, which is the regular outgoing process. And this is quite the same as the first diagram I showed you. And so the standard process of outgoing call and just go out. And the thing is, actually it's really simple in the platform. In the diagram it's kind of messy, but in the platform and in the code it's really simple. You are in the incoming process, forward process, or outgoing process. So actually, even it's looped and it's kind of strange, actually it's really simple and really easy to develop. So, what are the strengths of our platform? So the first one is the scalability. It was the first big issue of our platform, and in this case it's really cool because we can, as I say, we have this third option to divide a server if we need to. And actually it's easy to, we can, as we have three options, it's really easy to really upgrade and be able to scale up. So performance, we made some benchmark of the platform, and we go through 115 CPS, and the charge was around 10% of the platform. It's quite a good result for us. And the thing is, we didn't go up because of the limitation of the Oracle SBC, not the open solution. And in terms of interoperability, we are plugged to around 10 carriers and a huge quantity of PBX and different PBX. And actually, we don't have any issue of interoperability, so it's working quite well. So, well, another strange, which is quite interesting, is in order to have this autonomous platform and in order to interact with it, we make some kind of special language based on notification, SIG notification. We modify it a little. And for example, it allows us for our monitoring server to kind of send to one of our servers, it's a services server, to send kind of specified, modified SIG notification, asking him to monitor and check if everything is okay. So the OpenSIP will receive this notification and will make a lot of check, and will check if it's all the other servers on the platform. We'll check if it's connected to the database is okay, and if the services server reply with another modified notification saying it's okay, the monitoring is okay, we know that OpenSIP is working, we know that the server see all the other servers, and we know that the connection to the database is okay. So it's very interesting to have this kind of interaction at the SIP level. And it also allows our servers to discuss between them autonomously. For example, if the fraud detection server checks that there is some kind of suspicious case, it can just send a modified notification to the services server telling him to just ban this trunk and reload your configuration. So it kind of gives us some autonomous, and it allows us to have interaction at the SIP level. So another thing is the piracy, the security protection. In order to protect our client, we have the service, we have the fraud detection, the fraud detection server, and is working with three big parameters. The first one is the prepaid module, which is here like security balance. It's just that if a client is, for example, charging around 200 euros by month, you can just set the hard limit with this prepaid module to 500 euros. And if we didn't detect any suspicious case and everything the pirate will succeed to just pirate him, when we arrive to 500 euros, we'll be blocked. So we have this kind of hard limit. It's the first level of security. The second one is the fraud detection module, the native module of OpenSIP. We just modify it a little to be able to make multiple checks on one call. For example, we check for course the parameters of the trunk, but we also make a fraud detection on on certain prefix. There's some prefix which are really, really like it. So we just make a check for detection on this prefix, for example. And the third option is our homemade tools, which is kind of analyze the behavior of our clients. So the way it works, we always gather all the information we can gather about our client. So, for example, the cost, hour by hour, day by day, the average of the duration, the type of prefix he is calling. So we just gather all this information, and we know that this client, the Monday at 2 a.m., is able to, he costs around 20 euros. And he's calling this kind of prefix an average of this duration. Actually, we gather a lot of information, and if there is any warning of suspicious activity, we have multiple algorithms. We will check all these parameters and say, okay, this is really suspicious because the cost is not really the same as usual, and it's not with the same prefix he is calling. So we have, if there is this algorithm say it's not okay, we just maybe ban the prefix or ban the trunk if it's really, really suspicious. So here's a kind of a diagram on the platform. So it's the same, it's an outgoing call. And when we arrive to the fraud detection, we have the three modules with Go. The first one is, of course, a prepaid module. We will check if the limit is not down. Then we will go to the fraud detection module to make the multiple check on the trunk, on the prefix, if everything is okay. And then we have our tools. We will just get the current billing, because we have the billing of this client, get all the and all the average information about the billing on this hour, this day, and the hour -1, hour +1. All the information we have gathered, we just get it. Take the information we have actually at this hour and just go on the algorithm. And if there is something wrong and we say, okay, no, we must ban this string, for example, we will send a notify, as I say, notify to the services saying, okay, ban this string and reload the configuration. And of course, we can send some warning on the web interface and on the client mail. We can call it the support will call this client, and so on. So to continue on the strength of the platform, we have the resilience. At first, when we create this platform with Continuous server and specialized server, we were a bit afraid because we make some loops and we have some special case, and we were afraid to lose some code. Huh?
No, he's got 10. You good?
We were really afraid to lose some code. And the thing is, we make some tests, we benchmark, we make some destructive case with modified seed, and we succeed to handle 100% of the code. So it was really a huge success for us because it was not easy, because we have a lot of special interaction. And in terms of product management, as I say, we developed a nomad web interface which can really interact deeply with our platform. It allows our client to, of course, parameter all the services they want on the trunk. They can put in production some trunk, and it allows, of course, also all our internal team to debug, to support, can use it, Actually, everyone can use this web interface to interconnect with the platform, and the platform we have a lot of options and to make some action. And we also, as we gather all the information, we have also all the graph parts with a really good quality of the code and all the graph we can show. So, to conclude, it seems that we build a strong platform. We don't have any issue in terms of interoperability, in terms of flexibility, in terms of security. We have really good results. We are really good at this. And we also have some technical challenge. We have some loops. We have really a very special architecture, and it really works. So it's very strong. And well, I want to conclude by saying that OpenShift seems to be really the software. If you want to create a telecom platform, you can really do a lot of things and very special things and very fit. You can really use it to fit your need and create something new. That's it. Thank you.
No, I'm not coming to one.
Okay. All right. Hold on. I was eager. I get it. We have a question over here. I hope you're ready.
Thank you. You referenced an Oracle SBC. Was that a conscious choice or a constraint?
At first was a constraint because we wanted to use full OpenShift, but actually it worked pretty well, and it really fits the need we had in terms of SBC, so it's not really a constraint. The thing is, it's not full open source, and we don't have the flexibility and the we can have on SIPs on the Oracle solution. But in terms of SBC, it's really working well.
Another question over here. Okay, we're going to make our way up the other aisle.
I'm interested to know the arrows joining all your various servers together. Is that actually a SIP message being proxied from one to the next to the next?
Yeah.
Don't you build up a rather large root set and layers to handle the routing of the subsequent requests?
So you're saying in your diagram, you had a lot of green arrows connecting all the services on the layer.
Yeah.
Were you connecting them via a SIP notify message?
No, it's the invite, which is
Just the invite.
it's just the invite to process it. Yes, it's the invite.
Yeah, that one.
So don't you end up with a very large root set to get the routing? Because each time it goes through another server,
When
it
they-
will add another route.
When there is a forward, for example, there is a lot of root set, yes, but
Yeah.
there is no really
It's no problem.
No, it's not a problem. Actually.
Hi. How are you dealing with media? Is the SBC getting everything, or have another solution?
Yes, it's the Oracle solution just handle all the media information and transcoding. Everything is handled by the SBC.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you. For protection server, is that prepaid module transparent to your clients? Like, they not aware of its existence?
The prepaid module, we use the OpenSIPs variable to get the duration at start, and then we have our system to get the current billing for our client.
Like, yeah, is it transparent to your client? Like, they are not aware of that value, right?
They are aware. It's our client who sets the limit. At first, there is no limit in the prepaid, this kind of prepaid module. It's our client who say, I don't want to lose more than this
They can
amount.
adjust
They can just set the limit they want.
In your authentication server, can you explain how it works? Like, does it only do SIP authentication?
We can integrate routing module of OpenShift when there is a call, the authorization server, which is calling this kind of prefix. We just check if it's kind of a prefix which is open for everyone, or if it's a prefix which is not open but just to some kind of client, and we make this check. And if the client is not authorized to call the prefix, we just set the log.
Do you have any protection against source IP check for clients on the authorizations?
No.
Authentication server?
Not on the source IP check is more on the registrar server because it's kind of a registrar. On the registrar, we just the input point of this platform is the registrar server for incoming, for outgoing calls. So it's in the registrar server in which we just check if the IP is okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, let's get a round of applause for this guy. Okay, wow.